some. I love rotomels, and I'm a big fan of the grapefruit beers. So I'm just in my head, I'm imagining a rose and grapefruit and going, oh my God, I really want some of that.
Yeah, I'm thinking along the same lines. It sounds fantastic.
It really does, yeah.
So you were talking about spices earlier. Do you use predominantly fresh or dried?
Well,
or does it depend on the recipe?
It definitely depends on the recipe. Try and work with things. That's a constant challenge because trying to find suppliers that are going to get you. There's a lot of rose hips, a lot of rose petals that you can buy, but rose buds, which are sort of the whole thing that contain a little bit more flavor and might be a little less dried out. Mm. Where do you buy that in a couple 100-pound quantity? Where do you go to get, volumes of black cardamom or stuff like that you want in a larger bulk amount? Because, I'm not going to get too far into what I'm thinking about for fall flavors, but I went to go, we're looking at some liquid stuff, and, went to one vendor that said that they sold in bulk, and it was $900 a bale. And then I can get the same stuff in little containers from somebody, and have someone empty them for $15 an hour and bring that down under $100. And you comparing the freshness and quality of different spices is tricky. So it really depends. I try and stay away from dried herbs or botanicals. So like rosemary, only a fresh thing would, I think, really give you what you want.
You get those oils that way, yeah. They don't have as much of the oils when they're dried.
And there's a lot of, it's really a mix. But having stuff that's, even if it is dried, has a much fresher supply chain is going to make you a happier person. If you go try out vanilla beans, or if, you're in the grocery store and you're doing it in the carboy, there's a huge difference between the fake vanilla extract, the cheap vanilla extract, and then the man, that tastes awesome vanilla extract. And all, 5 or 6 different options are going to be sitting on that shelf staring you in the face. So it's important to try out a lot of different stuff, maybe even before you put it in your mead. If you can find a really good specialty spice shop, if you're going to be working with spices. I know that's not the easiest thing. Sometimes ethnic grocery stores are really great. Yeah. We used to buy all of our lemongrass at our local H Mart, which is like the Asian grocery. And back before I went to start buying it from a wholesaler that was supplying them, I think they got really confused because I went in, bought them out, 2 or 3 days in a row, and all of a sudden their entire shelf was full of lemongrass when I went in there to go buy something else, and I kind of laughed at myself and then didn't buy any of that lemongrass that was on the shelf around.
Yeah, there's probably every Asian person in Baltimore is who is this guy? Why can't I get any lemongrass?
Well.
Yeah. You mentioned black cardamom earlier, and I was like aware of it before, but when I went with John, I visited John Talkington to check out the place that he's building, and we went over and he took me on kind of a private tour of Dogfish Head while we were there, and we went and had a few beers, yada yada. And while we were back there, he took me through the supply room and opened up a bag of black cardamom. I could not believe how amazing it was, and the smoky texture. It was like, I must have some of this to play with, So now I'm on the hunt for a good source of it. But yeah, I mean, they buy like giant bags of black cardamom there. So if you're looking for it, talk to John. You might know somebody.
I think John's a little spoiled over there.
He is.
I remember Dogfish Head, of all places, is like the mecca of, awesome ingredient supply chain.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, I mean, who else do you know puts saffron in their beer? I mean, seriously, I just bought. One of the places I like to get spices is Spice Jungle for for my stuff. I'm not buying quantity, like big quantity, mind you. But I fell in love with their chai, and when I went on to buy some more chai this week, I was looking through the other stuff they had, and I ended up getting like saffron and some garam masala and some harissa and just a whole bunch of spices that I really like but have difficulty finding good quality. And so I've got like $100 worth of spices on the way, and it's just interesting. They didn't have black cardamom. I looked. But yeah, there's some new stuff I want to play with now,
Well, some of those online retailers are really, really great, actually, because they can do something that a lot of places can't, which is focus, really connect people in terms of a continuous bulk supply that's fresh.
Mm-hmm.
And connecting that with end customers. So you think about, 10 years ago in the days before the internet got as crazy as it is now, and before e-commerce was where it is now. And, you might be lucky to find a few stores that would carry that kind of stuff. And used to say that those stores have enough customers to really keep that traffic up, to keep the ingredient fresh all the time.
Yeah.
But some of the online retailers really, and a lot of people, if you're buying enough of it, are happy to send you some samples,
Oh, yeah.
If you develop a good relationship with them or something.
Well, just as an FYI, Spice Jungle, I happened to notice when I was on there yesterday that they sell to commercial people too, so they have a wholesale business as well as their retail business, so worth a look.
I'm not 100% sure, but I think I buy vanilla from that guy.
Yeah, could be. Somebody was telling me that he's the guy that runs the really cool vanilla bean site. That you can get bulk vanilla beans. Yeah,
that's the same guy. I recommend highly, if you're going to be infusing vanilla, speaking of that, to purchase his ground vanilla beans, because from personal experience, Cuisinarts are not happy.
No, they don't like chewing up vanilla beans, and chopping them is a pain. Though it smells good while you're chopping them, but if you're doing a lot, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. I'll put that under like failed experiments. And vanilla beans are tough because they're so expensive that you want to make sure you get a really good utilization, even if you're doing it like at a homebrew level.
So splitting it open isn't enough?
Well, you split it open, run it in the strips, scrape it around, do that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But if you got a guy who can like send it to you all pre-ground and make sure that it's all in there and you're not losing any of it to your chopping board and your, everything else. And that guy, the same one, sells some really quality vanilla.
Yeah, I
And
think he does vanilla.
Yeah, I think you're right. It's nice to have it in that kind of form where it's a little bit more reliable. How much, flavor infusion you're going to get. That's one of the problems with just like splitting it and stripping the insides is you don't always get the same result. I mean, you can always throw something else in, a little more in there or a little less, and tweak it, but the consistency thing for me is really big because when we do it at a commercial level, people really notice if it's something different, Plus, I can't pay somebody to sit there and like strip vanilla beans enough for a 300-gallon batch. It's just not possible, even for my Cuisinart.
It's probably also easier to measure it out if it's already ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, I'm just thinking in terms of max surface area exposed, I mean, you just split it, there's the possibility of losing some of that vanilla goodness to, not exposing as much as possible. So, yeah, I like the idea of ground, too, at least when it comes to making mead.
I think it might also depend on how long you leave it in, too. Because if you're going to be leaving it in for like a month or two, like I tend to, you're probably going to get everything out of it, no matter how big you chop it or don't, as the case may be. But if you're trying to do, I would suspect, if you're trying to do it a little bit quicker and you're going to be pulling it out so you don't get any kind of off flavors, then you definitely want the maximum contact area.
I haven't gotten a lot of off flavors from vanilla unless it was like some sort of cheaper vanilla that wasn't, it might have been more of a baking grade or something. Really, getting like good Madagascar or Tahitian vanilla that has that almost fruity kind of note to it, without sort of any tannic or bitter notes. Like if you get the good stuff, then you're gonna not see a lot of weirder flavors in your infusion. But I think the big thing with vanilla is really in like surface area, even more than time. It definitely takes a little bit of time to get vanilla in, but I haven't seen it just. I feel like 2 weeks might get a pretty good, approximation of whatever you're gonna, get in the end, even if you leave it in there for a long time. Whether you're using beans or ground stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I think for the retire by the fire, I agree with you that when you do your next batch, to play with it a little bit. Of course, I'm also a vanilla horse, so that's just me. You don't see too many commercial vanilla meads on the market, which is really interesting, I think. Now I think about it, I mean, I used to make I did a meadow foam mead with vanilla, and I would add vanilla beans to it. So you basically got vanilla marshmallow fluff, and it was amazing. And I suddenly realized that nobody does like a vanilla commercial mead that I'm aware of.
I really like vanilla, and I like it in the Retire by the Fire. If I could put more in there, I probably would. But
I'll drink it if you do. No problem.
In the spirit of what I said earlier with the subtlety, consensus, I think, has pulled me back a little bit on that one. So, I don't know. We're going to revisit for this fall and see how we want to tweak it. And maybe it'll be a little different. We'll see.
Yeah. I think you could bring it up a bit. I mean, I wouldn't go like gonzo with it or anything, but vanilla is good at any sweetness level, and Manny pointed out early on the show when I was talking about how much I like this. He says, well, vanilla lends its own appearance of sweetness. It makes people think it's sweeter than it is.
Well, that's what sort of makes it really